Okay. So, you want to introduce yourself?
I wasn't ready.
Okay. It's fine.
I have food.
Okay. So, I have Aly Incardona here. She says, no, I don't.
I feel like this voice recording can see my soul for some reason,
Which
is cool.
Yeah. So, I wanted you to talk a little bit about, what your business is, who you are as, your business, as you as a mom. So a lot of the people listening are going to be, mompreneurs, people starting off their businesses.
I love that word. Say it again.
I don't even know if I'm saying it right.
You are. I love it.
Oh.
It sounds so fresh. I love that.
So I want you to kind of dive into how you broke out from the corporate world and decided to jump in full force and just chase your dreams, basically. So go ahead and just start off with who you are and introduce yourself.
So I'm Aly Incardona Photography, and I'm a wedding and portrait photographer. I'm gearing more towards weddings in 2019, but portraits hold a super special place in my heart. I love all my families. They become my friends, which is so crazy because a lot of people look at photographers just as a vendor. And I tried to break the mold on that. I want to be your friend. I want to get to know you and your family, and I want to be around. And I love that idea. As far as how I broke from the corporate world, that was hard. I was actually fired, which sucks. Being fired is a really defeating feeling. And I was actually, which it's funny that you said you want me to talk about being a mom. I was fired because I was taking too many breaks pumping. So they fired me, and I was just trying to do the mom thing and feed my son, and I got fired for that, which really sucks. But after I got fired, I was just defeated, and photography for me was already on the back burner a little bit. So I was talking to my husband one night, pillow talking. And we were laying there, and he's you love photography. And here we are, we had just started the works of buying a house. I had just bought, a brand new car, which was almost 3 times as much as my normal car payment. So it's a really terrifying thing when I went into work and they were like, hey, we need to talk. Here's your final check, you're fired. And I'm like, what am I going to do? So I said, Mike and I were chit-chatting. And I was giving him all of these ideas, should I get an office job? Should I go back to school and work part-time as a waitress? Should I bartend? Should I volunteer at a daycare? Should I open a daycare? And there were all these things that we chit-chat about, and he's like, the thing is, you don't love any of those things, and you love photography, and you put it on the back burner for something that you didn't love to do because of the paycheck. So why not turn your passion into your paycheck? You should do this. And that's actually right around the time when I met you.
Aww.
Because I don't know how we met. Through Instagram, I think.
I
think
so.
I found you on Instagram or something like that, and I'm like, I love you. Hi.
I love you too. Hello.
And then from then on, I rebranded everything, and I turned everything over into Aly Incardona Photography. I just dove in, and the first couple of months were hard. The first couple of months were really hard. And I really tried to stick with my guns because I know a lot of times it's charging people can be an intimidating thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, you owe me X amount of money, and people are like, wait, I'm your friend, or wait, I'm your family. And splitting that was probably the toughest thing. Here's my new brand, here's my new name, here's what I'm doing. It's totally different. It's nothing like I used to do. Let's start this fresh and real and different. And I found in that year, the first year, all my dream clients. I loved every single person I worked with. They executed everything I wanted them to. And I made the same amount that I made working a job that I hated at home. I got to stay home with my kids. I got to work when I want. I got to book when I could. It was perfect. And it was a great year. The first year was, like I said, rocky the first few months, but the rest of the year was great.
Touching on how you had that issue with pricing and having that issue with like talking to family members, to close friends, and trying to break free from this like what I call the homie hookup.
Mm-hmm.
How did you go on and kind of explain like, hey, this is what I do now, this is my work, and this is how I support my family, basically?
I actually never had that like discussion per se. When friends and family would message me, a lot of times they would just say like, oh, hey, you know, we love your work. We of course want you to shoot it. And I would just say like, great, let's get you on the calendar. Here's the price. And here and there I would get still the whole like, I'm your best friend, or can we trade instead kind of thing. And there is a point where I finally, like, here and there I would still give in, of course. Like, oh, yeah. But, like you said, you can't, how are you feeding your family? Like, you can't feed your family with a trade. You can't feed your family and say that you're a business owner if you're not making money. So I actually did a Facebook Live. I finally had like a breaking point, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to break all of this down for people so they can really see what I have to pay, because they don't get it.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, they think like, oh, I'm just taking pictures. I don't take your picture. I take a portrait, I create a memory, and I try to capture it for you to treasure. It's not as simple as let me bust out my iPhone and take a selfie. Like, I really sort through. I try to find the moments that, like, this was something that you will want to see 50 years from now. This is something that your kids are going to want to see. Otherwise, what am I doing? You know, like, there's no point. So when I did that live, I got some mixed feedback. Some people either said, like, oh, well, you just pay for too much. It's unnecessary. But this is the way, you know, kind of breaks down, like, this is the way I do things. This is the way I like to do it. This works for me and my business. I got a lot of, well, I kind of fell off after a few minutes. So I was actually thinking about doing it again in a shorter version, or maybe even breaking it down in a blog post, maybe. Haven't really got that far yet. But I really feel like once I put that out there, so many people stopped, like, begging for the homie hookup. And I still, every year, I still do my Christmas minis every year. I still do. And I have some clients that come to that who literally could not afford my full session. They wait all year. Like, they look forward to it. They pay the retainer the day I announce it. They're so stoked and excited. And those are the clients that I really enjoy having. Like, they appreciate it so much more than just the average Joe, because they know, like, this is a treat for our family. These are our memories. Like, we're so excited. And I love being able to still do stuff like that. Like, I never want to get to a point where I'm so expensive that people who genuinely care about me can't even afford me.
Right. So do you feel like having those mini sessions and breaking free from your current, you know, past employer, do you feel like those mini sessions helped kind of propel you forward and helped you push your clientele, that even though, you know, years later, how many years is it now that you've had?
I've been in business for 5 years. I've been under Aly Incardona photography for the last 3.
So for the last, let's say, 3 years, do you feel like from leaving, you know, the corporate world and going into photography, keeping those minis has kind of helped alleviate, you know, that, hey, I'm your friend. Hey,
yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely. My friends sign up every time for the mini. And they know too, for example, I have one friend, and she actually brought that out. She said, like, we're not going to take advantage of you and ask you to have, like, shoot cheaper for us. We will wait for your minis. And, like, as much as that, I took that one of two ways. Like, a little bit of me was like, okay, if you love so much, like, why not save for your full session anytime? But it was also gratitude, like, thank you for working me in sometime and supporting me. Yeah, like, they're still showing support to me as a person, not only to me as a business. Like, they genuinely make it work. When ultimately they couldn't make it work any other way. So, it goes both ways. I was talking to another photographer one time, and he said something that really changed my mindset. He said, clients do not think about you and your family when they plan their vacation to Disneyland, or when they plan their vacation to the beach, or when they plan to go get their hair done or their nails done or buy a fancy outfit, but they ask you to do your job cheaper. And that's not fair, because if they really valued you and entrusted that you are going to give them these, memories, you can't put a price on your memories.
Mm-hmm.
And that really changed my whole mindset on it. Like, I don't need to devalue myself because I am giving them a luxury item.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all in kind of like, I want to stay humble
mm-hmm.
without ever getting to the point where I'm like, oh, you guys can't afford me.
Yeah.
I don't care about you guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about money. I do this because I love it.
Yeah.
And money is a bonus. If I can feed my family with what I love to do, that's a bonus.
Right. And I think that can be applied to any business where, your passion should be the one driving you. And friends, yes, they do want a treat, and people do want freebies, and they want something special. And I think with those minis, or with any kind of session like that, that can really be translated to someone giving like a teaser product or a teaser
mm-hmm.
something,
mm-hmm.
and that really does help the transition of jumping from a 9-to-5 to like doing your own thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that said, what is one thing that scared you the most from jumping from your 9-to-5 to being your own boss?
Oh my God, how am I going to pay for this car and this house and feed my kids? That was terrifying, because every single day when I went to work, I knew I was working towards a paycheck. And now we work a job where if your clients don't show up, there goes your paycheck. Or if somebody shows up and they say, oh, I forgot to go to the bank on my way, I'll send it through PayPal. That can take 3 weeks. It can
mm-hmm. take
3 days. It can take 3 hours. It doesn't matter, but you were looking forward to that right then and you didn't get it. Or if you, for weddings, for example, I've had people make certain payment plans because I allow payment plans. I want to stay flexible. And they miss the payment. There goes the paycheck you were looking forward to. And they say, hey, I'm going to pay it instead on this day. There's nothing you can do about it. So those things were scary, because you can't ever depend on your money. Like, you don't know if people are actually going to go through, or what if they change the package at the last minute, they want something less. Like, things like that take a toll.
Mm-hmm.
So
what did you do to kind of help alleviate either the anxiety or alleviate that fear that, like, where is my money going to come from? Like, how did you change your business to work for you instead of you work for your business?
Well, I try to stay really flexible. So I have packages that range.
Mm-hmm.
And they range from very minimal.
Mm-hmm.
They pay very minimal, you get very minimal.
Mm-hmm.
To the most expensive package where you get all the bells and whistles and you pay all the bells and whistles. So I try to keep it flexible so that way I can appeal to most budgets. I wouldn't say any budget, but I would say most budgets. And it's been working, and I have been consistently booking, which is great. It was, like I said, it just took a little bit of time to get there. Because for a little while, I was majorly undercutting myself. And once I realized that, I'm like, this isn't working, because when you undercut yourself, your clients don't respect you or value you. Or
mm-hmm.
I read something one day that said, ask your clients how they see you, and you'll know how you're viewed.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked a few clients, like, oh, when you refer me, what do you tell people about me?
Mm-hmm.
Some clients that come back all the time.
Yeah. And
they said words like flexible and will work with your budget, and what was the other statement that was made? Cheap and inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
And those words were such a huge impact. I don't want to be seen as a cheap.
Yeah.
As somebody who, if you don't bring your money that day, it doesn't matter. Like, I want to be seen as someone who is a serious person who runs a business. This is a business. This is how I feed my family. These are my kids. This is my dog. This is my house. Like, we have a life that we live. We have needs that have to be met, and this is how we're meeting those needs. And I feel like once that was clear, it got a lot easier.
Yeah. So just kind of having that, how can I explain this? Having that kind of like...
I try to stay flexible within boundaries. Mm-hmm. I try to keep boundaries now. Before, there was no such thing as boundaries. Like, oh, you want to go for free? Okay, fine. Like,
you want me to text you at 9 p.m.? That's great.
Yeah, now I have boundaries. There are hours where I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I want to spend time with my kids. Or I have days where I say, like, I haven't had a day off in weeks. I need a day with my kids. So everybody needs to be respectful, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah.
It's all in boundary.
Yeah. I think I was listening to a podcast a couple of days ago, and it was, you have to give yourself the respect that you expect others to give you.
Absolutely.
In your business, too. So, I mean, I'm still guilty of that, and I know it's hard. It's hard to break that mold of, like, I want to please everyone.
It's so hard to turn off, huh?
Yeah, especially if you're a people pleaser like you are.
I
like,
know.
Where you want to be, available, where you want to be kind to everyone, but then you're not being kind to yourself.
Absolutely.
And then you're burning yourself out.
Definitely is the kind of industry where if I message you today, hey, I want to sign up and I want to book a session, and I don't hear from you for a day, I might find someone else. Or I might go elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like if they don't write back within the hour, or if you reply 2 or 3 hours later, already found somebody. Like, we're at a day and age where there's no patience. Like, people are very much, people are busy. And people are moving a million miles a minute, and they have no time to wait. If you don't reply or you don't give that communication right away. So doing that is hard. Learning when to turn off is hard.
Yeah. How do you cope with that? So how do you cope with that as being a mom and having this business?
I just turn off. Yeah. I just do it. And, I really came to terms with the fact that if a client is willing to not understand, because I do public announcements, which I'm sure you've seen. I'm taking the day off. My phone will be on Do Not Disturb. I post it everywhere. Instagram, Snapchat, on my Instagram story, Facebook, on my private Facebook group, on my public page. I post it everywhere. I am taking the day off. If you can't wait for me, then you're probably not the ideal client for me. If you can't respect the fact that I have a family and I have other obligations, then if you can't even be patient for that, what makes me think that you're going to be patient while we're taking your photos or while you're waiting for them to be edited or the entire process as a full? It's not my ideal client anymore. So if they go elsewhere, I just wish them the best, and I tell them, I hope your pictures turn out great, and if they're posted publicly, I'd love to see them. Tag me, let me see them, let me peep that, and sometimes they do. Sometimes I think they take it in a weird way when I don't mean it like that, because I don't see other photographers necessarily as a competition. I think it's such a great thing. Like, we all have creative minds, and we all see things different.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's one point, like, I try to make across a lot of the time, is because, like, I will, and I totally understand, and I totally see where you're coming from with the whole, if they can't wait for me, then they're obviously not mine. Mm-hmm. And I think
then they weren't our client to begin with, right? Like, they're just looking for whoever, a vendor, and I don't want to be seen as their vendor. Yeah, you want to be seen as not only a person and also a business, and being, given that respect, but also be seen as, I'm an artist. Literally. Yeah, absolutely. I am an artist, and so the images I can give you are not the same images that someone else can give you. I mean, for those of you listening that don't know, Aly and I share a space. So her images in my space or in her space, they're completely different. Which is amazing.
Yeah, and I love think that.
It's so cool. And it's like, wow, like, you thought of this. Yeah. And it's so awesome and different and out of the box. And, like, I never would have thought to use this prop in that way. And we do just, like, completely different things. Yeah. And I think that's so cool, too, because there's so many times where And that also leads back to the whole, like, other people aren't necessarily your competition.
Right.
Because I prefer to do weddings. I prefer to do portraits of families and older kids. And you obviously have such a knack for babies and newborns and things that I'm like, I'm not going to pose that baby. Nope. That mom can hold that baby all day.
Yeah, and see, then you do, like, all these beautiful lifestyle things. So I feel like every person has their niche
They do.
without them even knowing, without them even trying to have one.
They do.
So I feel like it's great to have those friends in the industry, having, you know, it's not a competition. It's not about, you know, who's better at what or who can do what and who can't.
And another point on that is that this is a kind of business where you cannot call in sick. Yeah. You cannot, if you, for example, I had a wedding, and it was when I first started, and my second shooter, she put the schedule wrong on her calendar. So come the day of, if I did not have a friend in this industry, if I looked at every single person as an enemy, guess what? I would have been on my own. And I had somebody that was available the second I called them. Can you be there? Yep, I'm on my way. She came, hair wet from the shower, with like 1.5 batteries. And like, we made it work all night long. And that's the beauty in not seeing other photographers as a complete competition. Yeah. Like, people don't have to be. You can be friends. You can be so excited for someone who surpasses you. Right. It's an amazing thing to see someone start and then see someone, even if they get better than you, it doesn't matter.
That's how I feel about you, honestly. Like when you started out and I was like watching you walk.
Don't ever look at the pictures when
no,
I started.
but it's such a like, it's like a big sister, it's like,
exciting.
You know, yeah, it's like one of those things where you're like, I am so proud of you.
Yeah,
I am
absolutely.
so happy to see where you've gone. And I mean, I share clients with other photographers,
all
and
the time.
we never feel that, like, offense that, like, oh, this person.
Just the other day when we were talking about the maternity newborn client, like,
yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see. Let me come sit in.
Yeah.
Even though she's going to you, I cannot wait to see.
Yeah.
I can't.
Like, when we were at our session, we were talking about you, and we were saying,
oh,
like, how
did you do
great,
it already?
Yeah.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to
how
see.
great you were, and we were talking about Jaina and things. So it's like such a fun community to be around, and I feel like any industry, when you have that tribe and when you have that, I mean, we're women and we have kids, and so we're like, have this like mom mentality, where you're just like, we're rooting for each other, we're there for each other. Having those people that really understand and know where you're coming from, I feel like that's so important. And that's what this podcast is going to be about, or these audios are going to be about, is about finding, you know, your path, forging your own path, finding how others do it. And I am so glad that you came on and that you talked to me, and hopefully I can have you again about other stuff and just kind of like have a coffee talk and things and invite others on here. So I can't wait to see what happens.
Well, thank you so much.
So go ahead and tell our listeners where they can find you.
On Facebook at Aly Incardona Photography, or on the web at alyincphotography.com, or on Instagram, which, note, it's a share personal and business Instagram. It's a little bit of both. You might see my dog, you might see my kids, you might see my clients. It's a mess. It's a chaotic, beautiful mess, but my handle is photo.incardona.
All right, well, thank you so much for talking to me today.
Yay, you're welcome.
And I can't wait to see what magic you make.
Me too. Me either. We'll see. Hopefully it's good.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.